something else instead. And there was Mbappé, the first player that came through here and actually just was making his thoughts very, very clear. What has happened is something that should be punished. That's what he was shouting at. And quite clearly, the tension is very, very obvious here. Now the referee is talking to the chairman, to Rui Costa. Can we talk to you? Can we talk to you? Can we talk to you? No, we haven't been able to. We haven't been able to talk to the chairman of Benfica, but the result is important, but what has happened is much, much more important, much bigger than that. We need to hear from Real Madrid, we need to hear from Benfica. Quite clearly, Vinicius heard something, told the referee started the protocol for racism by crossing his arms, and football has to correct one thing. If Vinicius was the victim, quite clearly the fans didn't understand that. He was whistled all along. Mbappé must have heard something as well, because he reacted very, very strongly from the minute one. And yes, as a consequence, Real Madrid players perhaps disappear from the game. Benfica fans were very, very vocal against the Real Madrid players, but as I said, that's not the most important thing. We need to know what's happened, but I feel that the referee did a really good performance in terms of what had to happen just at that point, reacted very well. Things have calmed down now. The players are shaking hands. There's a lot of staff, both from Real Madrid and Benfica, shaking their hands. Both coaches, Mourinho and Arbeloa, had been talking to each other on the pitch and now coming off of the pitch. And perhaps you're not hearing it, but now the tension has been clearly reduced.
How unpleasant did you find the atmosphere in the stadium, Guillaume?
So from the moment that Vinicius scores the goal, obviously Benfica fans were upset. But from the moment that it became clear that he'd heard Pastrana saying something to him as he had been hiding his mouth and went to the referee, he who was the victim really became the enemy. And from then on, you heard the stadium that was much, much noisier than it had been in the previous minutes, when the speculation of both sides, where they weren't risking too much, meant that, the noise wasn't the usual one, is described here sometimes as hell. But from the minute 59, especially every time Mbappé and Vinicius touched the ball, the fans showed their disgust towards them. And that's something that UEFA will have to take note. It got to a point where things were throwing, especially around the corner area, and when Vini and Trent were going to take a corner, the referee, applying perhaps common sense, were asking them, there was going to be a substitution, let's do the substitution, don't get into the corner, because it will incite the fans. But yeah, the arguments continue now. This Rui Costa, the chairman, is trying in the middle of it. This Benfica staff that's trying to go to the changing room of Real Madrid and is being stopped. Quite clearly, UEFA don't want nothing of this to be filmed, but the tension is really happening behind us. Some of the staff have tried to get to the Real Madrid changing room, and journalists and everybody is trying to get to the position, and it won't be that way. Because the discussions continue. Rui Costa, can we speak to you?
Good try, Guillaume. I appreciate you trying. Can I just say very quickly, if you were watching the game between Dortmund and Atalanta over on the Golazo Network, welcome along to our coverage. We're just kind of mopping up the aftermath of the game between Benfica and Real Madrid, which was played in Lisbon, where there was an unpleasant incident of what seemed to be racial abuse towards Vini Jr. Guillaume, you've given us an incredible insight into kind of what's happening, now that the final whistle has gone. Does it feel like very familiar territory to Vinny Jr. for you in terms of what he has had to deal with on a pitch, often playing at home in La Liga and now going to Benfica and playing there?
The story of Vinny starts in a favela. From the moment he comes out of that favela when he was a kid, the whole world is against him. That's something that Spanish football, and perhaps football in general, have not understood. He looks at the world as a hostile place. So, of course, now that he feels that he's got a platform where he can be heard, he's going to fight against that. And people are saying, don't behave like that. Don't jump when people provoke you. Don't provoke others. But he sees the world as a hostile place. In here now, I think he feels everybody's listening. He's been very emotional in the past when he's been insulted. Now he just goes at those that he feels are going against him. And quite clearly, Pastrini has done something really, really wrong that I feel Mbappé has heard as well. So at the moment, we'll need to have more information about it, but yeah, it's a place where Vinicius has got the right to protest. He is the victim, and I don't think football fans in general, too tribal, don't fully get it.
Again, we're going to leave you to try and figure out what you can. Maybe you can get to speak to somebody over there. We'll see if you can. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thierry, I'd love to get your opinion on this.
I can relate to what Vinicius Jr. is going through. That happened to me so many times on the field. I talked about it so many times after games. I've been also accused of looking for excuses after game when that happened to me. So at times you feel lonely because it's going to be your word against his word. And so because we don't know what Pastrini has said, because he was very courageous because he put his shirt over his mouth to make sure that we're not going to see what he said. So clearly already you look suspicious because you didn't want people to see or read what you said. Then the reaction of Vinicius is telling me that something not right happened. So we're going to have to wait to see what's been said because we still don't know. Vinicius can tell us his side, and Pastrini, I'm sure, will not tell us what he actually said, because I saw at one point it was Kylian Mbappé that confronted him, and he said to Kylian, I didn't say anything. Well, you must have said something, at the very least. So where I go back to sometimes it's lonely, and you feel like you don't know what to do anymore. Because I've been in that situation. Vinicius has been in that situation. So many players have been in that situation. We're in 2026, and still after a game like that, where we're supposed to talk about his brilliant goal, and the only answer that he had is that goal they won by 1-0, and I heard him saying "a la Madrid" at the very end. But technically, you shouldn't be having to deal with the ref telling you don't go to the corner flag because that will incite the crowd. It's a corner. I cannot take my corner. Like I can't go there also to take a corner just because people are thinking whatever they're thinking, as Mike said. Obviously, they didn't have the info of what happened, but then suddenly he becomes a victim. He can't go and take a corner. What do you mean he can't go and take a corner? Why does he not? Why can he not stay there and play a short corner? Anyway, I can relate. And I can assure you, when that happens, you don't know what to do anymore. So he tried to walk out one time in Spain, if I remember well, away. Then another time, he tried to kick someone back because he had enough. Now he went to see the referee to tell him what happened. I've been there. The referee also told me I can't do anything about it. As you can see, they couldn't do anything about it. They go and see people to try to see what they can do about it, as because they don't know what happened, what's been said, they cannot take action. But let's see how big of a man Prestiani is. Tell us what you said. You must have said something because you can't go and say to Mbappe after, I didn't say anything. What do you mean you didn't say anything? So you cover your nose for what? You have a cold? He's a coward, man.
In case you weren't watching this game, you were watching one of the other games that we had going on live. Let's show you kind of how this all unfolded.